and every year they keep taking aero students. Uh, you can approach them directly also. They generally they are quite okay. But there is a problem because your seniors who got selected, they just go there and then leave the job after some time. They prefer some software job and they do it. Whereas this particular flight management system is nothing but your flight mechanics. And other branch students, they'll find be a computer science student or something. They might be good at C programming, but for them to grasp flight mechanics is very difficult. So definitely you can do a better job, and there's a lot of growth potential in this. So after graduation, just have it in mind. You can always give it a try. Just approach Honeywell Madurai that you are interested in flight mechanics and a little bit of flight dynamics and all the stuff. They will definitely give you an opportunity. They initially take you as an intern in the fourth year. So your project gets done at Honeywell. Okay. That's how we did it last time. Uh, the last semester, I remember, I think it's the last semester. Eighth semester, you go to Honeywell as an intern, do the project, and then become a permanent employee over there. Okay, think over it. If someone is interested, it's always some scope. Okay. Oh, the basic functions are navigation, that is the exact position of the aircraft. Traditionally, it used to be done using ground-based navigation aids, but now this GPS has become more accurate, so it's all GPS based. Flight planning is you want to go from Coimbatore to Chennai. Uh, what sort of path you want to take? What are the en route navigational aids you can use? What are the obstructions? What are the air traffic limitations? All those things are done here. In fact, it is done offline before the aircraft takes off. The every airline has an office on the or connected with some data link. They do all the flight planning because they get the current data of everything. Okay, so they do the flight planning and upload it on the aircraft. Now you know what sort of flight planning you want to do. You have to give a trajectory prediction. Basically, change in the velocity vector. So both the lateral sense and the longitudinal sense. So we can predict how it is going to be. Uh, this is where the commercial interest is coming in. This trajectory prediction and all reduces the workload of the pilot, but this performance computation is something which has been recently added. Okay. So you want to fly from Coimbatore to Chennai with all the constraints, but still you want to reduce your fuel consumption. Okay. Or you want to optimize between uh, time and fuel consumption. Okay. At times, very long distance flights, you are paying for the crew. Okay. So they work, their salary is based on hours of flying hours. So they do all those optimization and come to the some sort of algorithm by which you get the best of everything. Guidance is now it's synthetically like ILS was giving you two beams and the aircraft used to land on the runway. Now this was based on a ground-based transmitter, whereas in FMS you synthetically generate the track. Okay. So you know from starting to end, you form a path, and then if the aircraft is deviating from the path, it's something like your ILS, extended ILS. Okay. Only thing is it's not a straight line. It can take any trajectory. So if it is deviating from the path, then you give the guidance function so that you apply a necessary corrections to the autopilot and all, and then the aircraft follows the optimal path. So navigation, guidance, and performance computation. The block diagram, I think, is taken from your book only. Okay. So everything starts with this flight planning stuff, route, constraints, everything, and it can be from a data link, or in case it's not available, the pilot himself can feed in the data. Uh, then you have the navigation database, en route navigation database. This is the navigation block where all the navigation sensors, inertial navigation, ILS, NDB, they're all feeding data into this fellow. Only thing is, they tend, the difference is, there's something called sensor fusion. Okay, this we have seen in the previous course. It's nothing but that complementary filtering. Okay. So you take help of more than one navigation lead and try to get the best possible accuracy. So you know where you are. Now the flight plan buffer is, you can load more than one flight plan. Suppose it's a hop between Coimbatore to Delhi via Bombay. So you can have one flight plan Coimbatore to Bombay, then Bombay to Delhi. So that sort of buffer is there. With this information, the trajectory is predicted. Now you have the nav information, the flight plan information. This performance database, earlier, the pilots used to refer to the handbook. So suppose you're flying a 737, uh, the manufacturer will tell, okay, you fly at so and so height, and for that height, this is the altitude, this is the speed you should maintain. Okay. So for a particular type of aircraft, that information is also fed into the trajectory prediction box, uh, and or module, not box, it's a module. Okay, all software only. Based on that, you generate the lateral and vertical profile. Once you know the profile and the current state is coming here, and you know what is the required state, whatever is the error, you give the lateral guidance. Similarly, the vertical guidance. So this is how FMS system works. So the performance thing plays an important role in this. Okay. Now suppose it's not only just civil aircrafts, even military aircrafts, if they want to fly through very difficult terrains, it's not just possible to do it manually. It requires a lot of skill. So both, this is the height information and this is the latitude, longitude information. So you can take paths like this, any altitude and any lateral position. So you're not constrained by these terrain limitations and all that stuff. Okay. This just gives the difference between all the conventional thing and what is happening nowadays. The conventional way of flying is you start from some point, you get from one, say, let us say this is one navade. Okay, you go to the other navade, navade to navade, you keep uh, flying. Okay, so then you have the other one and try to do some triangulation and then try to follow the path. This is how conventional way. This was a conventional way of getting into flying from one point A to point B. Now, instead of depending on this navade, like overflying a NDB or a VOR, what they are doing is, it's called area navigation. RNAV stands for area navigation. So synthetically, you generate waypoints. Okay. Now the aircraft tries to follow this synthetic waypoints, and they're not constrained by this sort of navigation. Okay. So you reduce, if you really calculate the distance flown, it will be much less than what conventional methods use. And an improvement of RNAV is RNP, or required navigation performance. So if you are moving, same synthetic waypoints are there, but if you are moving from say A to B, RNAV was not predicting anything in future. Okay? So it goes from one point to another, which means there is a change in velocity, abrupt change in velocity vector. Okay, which means there is some acceleration. Acceleration is nothing but you apply some disturbing force. And disturbing force, the moment you use disturbing force, you're spending energy. So what they do is, if this is waypoint A and this is a point B, the aircraft starts manual at point A itself. Okay, so it's a smooth, constant radius turn. Okay, so it is, you spend much lesser energy compared to this sort of abrupt change in waypoints. Okay, now just to give a physical uh, what is the appreciation of the whole thing. Say, let us say there is a mountain on both sides, okay, A and B, and aircraft is supposed to navigate through this, say a valley, okay. So it is flying like this and using some navigational aids to go from one point to another. Uh, but in this sort of restricted airways, you can just, only one aircraft can go in one direction. So it means the other aircraft will be put on holding pattern, and then start clearing one by one. Now with this RNAV, uh, because these green things are all synthetic uh, waypoints. So here you can have more than one aircraft, one flying in opposite directions. Though the physical restriction is constraints are there, but still you can route the aircraft safely. So that's how this RNAV and, has really improved the efficiency. Uh, Now this is the plan view. Another major problem nowadays is noise pollution. Okay, earlier airports were away from the cities, so there was no question of any noise pollution. But now cities have expanded all over the world, and you see habitations very close to the runway. Uh, okay, so but these people also object to the noise. Okay, so though it's not very strictly followed in India, uh, other countries they are quite finicky about it. The local population is very finicky. So the conventional departure, if it was like this, flying over an populated area, now this RNAV ensures that you can even avoid such areas and have the departure something like this. Similarly, if you look at the vertical profile, now they are, what they are doing is they're trying to climb up at a steeper angle and then go for the cruise. Okay. Compared to the original one, which they were very close to the habitation. So this sort of environmental issues also are being addressed. Another thing is just the sort of uh, saving, because you people must be doing this fuel consumption in your flight mechanics course. So if you had gone as per the handbook, this is what it would have been. There is so many pounds per nautical mile. Uh, Whereas if you had used an optimal solution, you would have got something like this. So definitely there is quite a bit of savings. Another issue is you go from airport A to airport B, and airport B is quite congested. Already we saw in that ground augmented system how we can have different profiles for landing. Uh, Similarly, instead of putting aircrafts in holding pattern, you fly at a velocity so that your destination airport will allow you to go at the earliest. So there is some information about airport B also being fed to the aircraft. So continuously it changes its velocity so that it has very less holding pattern. So all these things are already been implemented. Um, so instead of wasting time doing this holding pattern, you can just straight away go and take the landing approach. Trip cost. So this is time optimization. Okay. So you can optimize your time because, as I told you, it's the cruise uh, cost is reduced, but you can't fly very fast because you're going to consume a lot of fuel. That's not the solution. So they come out with something, some solution. And I don't know whether you people have already done this elective. There is something called as multidisciplinary optimization. Has it been offered to you? MDO, Rajesh used to take it. Okay.
No, sir.
And that subject addresses this sort of issues. Very useful because once you get into design, design is a compromise of different things, between the different things. Okay. So this MDO gives you some sort of solution to it. Okay, navigation, as I told you, is navigation block. It just tells you the current state of the aircraft, and it gives the estimated position accuracy, uncertainty, okay, by fusing a lot of multi sensors instead of just depending on one fellow. So if you have two VOR stations, there is definitely an area of uncertainty. Okay. So you try to resolve this uncertainty by taking some other navigate so that let's say there is another navigate 3, you take that reference also and try to reduce this area of uncertainty. And these angles are the error of these respective stations. So VOR also has some error of plus minus 2 degrees. NDB used to have 10 degrees, but still VOR also has some error. Results in sort of uh, uncertainty in your position. Mm. These are all just theoretical stuff. Okay, flight profile, flight planning functions, all taken from your book only. Nothing much. A trajectory prediction. All this, even the real-time weather data also is fed so that you can take advantage of tailwinds, or even if crosswinds are there, you can have a path which reduces the fuel consumptions. So all these things. So this climb profile and all is what you would have done in your flight mechanics, and probably you will be doing it in aero design course next semester. Okay, so it's not, you're just not climbing like this. Okay. So there are different stages you have to go through and before you go into a cruise phase. And cruise again is from one airlane to another airlane. Different areas, different altitude. So you have to change from one altitude to another altitude and then do the descent. So any change in velocity vector is acceleration. That's the funda. Okay. The moment you accelerate, you require a force, and disturbing forces are going to consume fuel, additional fuel. So typical descent profile. Performance manual, that's what I told you. Earlier it used to be the manufacturer's performance manual, but here now we are going to use real time. And finally, with all this information, it's going to give guidance, information. And so these are given as commands. Commands will then go into the autopilot. or some cases directly to the control surface. I think that's all about this. Some useful references are there. I'll just upload it on the AUMS. Yeah, this Sandita, can you see some 737 PDF?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It is a very nice introduction to FMS. Okay, this is what Honeywell is doing. Uh, if you want more details, then you'll have to go to other stuffs like this digital avionics handbook. Spicer, that also gives good introduction to FMS. So I'll just upload few of them, okay, whatever I'm having. So MS1, okay. This rather gives historical reasons why FMS was developed and what is the current status. Only problem with this job is on FMS is you have to go through a lot of documentation. So many rules and there will be something on FAA would have given something, ICAO gives something else. So you have to be very thorough with your documentation. Understand all this documentation and then implement it. And this might not be useful. Okay. And this was a very old document I got, but gives a lot of information. Uh, Probably because if you can correlate with what you're learning in flight mechanics, it might be of some interest. Especially the reference side, it gives a lot of information. Okay. Sandita, I made a request to you long time back. Will it be possible to do it?
Sir, a session on radar.
Sorry?
I don't remember, sir.
No, can your father give a guest lecture on simulator? Hawk
On
simulator?
simulators. Sure, sir.
Yeah.
I'll ask him.
No, if it's too much of a issue, then not required. But
No, sir.
just
We
let me
can.
know. Okay, no compulsion. Huh?
Sure, sir. I'll ask him and let you know.
Yeah, because generally they must be having some training manuals given by BAE,
Yes, sir.
or you can take it from him and you can also present it. Either way.
Okay, sir.
Okay then. So Priya, you let me know about the quiz schedules
Yes, sir.
starting from next week onwards. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Fine. Okay then. Thanks. We'll meet next week.
Thank you, sir.